What's up, guys? This is Storm bringing another gaming news week. For this special episode, we're going to be focusing on one topic with tiny little ones I'm going to cover first before we get to the main event. This one is essentially going to be focusing around the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct that happened, I want to say like 3 days ago. So, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, share this video, and leave what you think about Nintendo Switch 2 Direct in the comment below. Without further ado, let's get on with the news. To start off the news, we got some information about Ghost of Yotel. Built only for the PlayStation 5, optimized for enhanced visuals and performance on PS5 Pro, takes place in 1603, which we already knew that, which is over 300 years after Ghost of Tsushima. Set around Mount Yotei in the northern Japan, features grasslands, snowy tundras, and diverse landscapes, which we already saw from the announcement trailer. 4 draw distance, vegetation that sways believably in the wind, and the bit of new information from it is you play as Yatsu, a female warrior seeking revenge for her slain family. Yatsu completes bounties / odd jobs to fund her quest for vengeance, introduces Odachi, the Kusarigama, and dual katanas. Alright, so basically, Atsu's story for Ghost of Yotel is pretty much sound like a revenge story. We don't know what kind of villain, I should say, that she gonna be going up against. Because Ghost of Tsushima, you went up against the Koda Khan's army to avenge and take back the land, the island of Tsushima. But in this one, we still don't know what kind of villain group it is, or what kind of family it was. Like, if she's like a descendant of samurais. And could she potentially be related to Jin in any type of way? We just gotta wait and see. And of course, Sucker Punch have reconfirmed that the game is set to come out this year. So we just gotta wait and see. I'm still willing to bet that the game will get a September release, in my opinion. Because I think that's the most perfect position for it. Because, as I recall right now, I believe the only game, to my knowledge, that is releasing in September is Borderlands 4. So, I think Ghost of Yotel and Borderlands 4 would be perfectly fine in the month of September to release together. Marvel Rivals 2 announced their Season 2 Hellfire Gala, which is set to come out on April 11th. It gives us brand new game modes, some nerfs and buffs, some changes here and there, and we got the introduction of 2 characters that will be joining the roster, Emma Frost and Ultron. Ultron was it was leaked like a while back, but it was just no confirmation when he was good coming. A lot of people believe he was gonna come in like day 1, but that as not day 1, season 1. But it turns out that was just the introduction to the Fantastic Four characters. So now Ultron and Emma Frost is coming, and a lot of people going nuts over Emma Frost. And if you watch the trailer of the Hellfire Gala, you'll see why. We got brand new skins for different characters, and a couple of announcements that they announced. They said we're going to be getting like a domination game mode, which is really awesome. They also said they're planning to release at least shorten the time frame of when a new character comes out. So instead of like waiting for like 2 to 3 months for a character, they plan to drop one character at least every month, at least by the sound of it. So the next potential character I believe that will come out, I believe after Emma Frost and Ultron, I believe it most likely Blade. Because it's kind of funny, like, he wasn't a character for season one, even though you're going up against Dracula, so it would make the perfect sense. And one of the maps you do see Blade, but him and Ratatoskr are captured by Dracula. And streamers who got to try out the Emma Frost character gameplay, I believe she's a Vanguard, which is pretty interesting. You go to the location where Blade is being held captive, you'll see he's no longer there, which means he is free right now. And another surprising announcement that Marvel Rival announced, you'll be able to give other players in-game store items. So let's say, for example, I got in for my Iron Man. I have the basically the symbiote Iron Man suit, right? And my friend of mine don't have it. I'm able to give him that skin so he could have it for his Iron Man, which I think is really cool. Especially you have like friends that don't really have the money to be spending to try to get a certain outfit they want, or they're don't have the funds to get it, and they don't have that much to play the game to go through the grind to try to get the in-game currency without spending money. So as a cool friend, you'll be able to gift them that skin, and they'll be able to use it in their games, which I think is really cool and stuff. I can't wait to see what Marvel Rivals got planned for the future, and what character you're hoping next to appear. Because I just saw one comment say like, man, if they're good to drop a character, like one character every month, then they gonna run out of characters. And when I saw the comment, I just looked like, bro, it's Marvel. They got a lot of characters to choose from. Like honestly, if they really wanted to, like they could really just throw in the characters from the upcoming Thunderbolts movie. Like right there alone, you got like what, 7 or 8 characters to pick from to add to the roster. Like shoot, Doctor Doom is still not part of the roster. They could probably potentially add him when the Fantastic Four movie come out. We don't have nearly all the X-Men characters. Shoot, they could bring in Cyclops, Jean Grey, Iceman, potentially Professor X is gonna come in the future, Gambit, Deadpool. Like there's a ton of Marvel characters they could do from, and they could, instead of just doing it as a skin, they could do like special characters. Like for example, like they could have the Flash Thompson version of Agent Venom. They could have the Sam Wilson version of Captain America. They could have the Miles Morales version of Spider-Man. Like without even having to be a skin, just bringing those characters. Like shoot, and we're not even going to talk about the Inhumans. And there's a whole bunch of other characters they could do. Like they could even start adding some villain characters. The point is, the person who said that, I don't know if he was just joking when he said, but there's literally a ton of characters that Marvel could bring into the roster. It's not even funny. So for me, I'm kind of hoping they bring in. I think we need like an OP character, and just for the hell of it, since the movie comes out in May, bring in the Sentry as a character just to add to the roster. Because there's a lot of people who don't know who the Sentry is, and the people that do know him, he is categorized. He is in the category of being like a Marvel Superman character. Like, shoot. And a funny thing, I bet a lot of people don't know who Blue Marvel is. That's a whole different story. But yeah, can't wait to try out season 2 of Marvel Rivals when it drops on April 11th. Now that the appetizers are out of the way, it's time for the main course. The Switch 2 has officially been revealed at the Nintendo Direct, and there's a lot to be covering. The first thing we're going to do is talk about when the console release, the price, and the games that they showed off during the Direct. The Switch 2 is set to release on June 5th. Pre-orders go up on April 9th, and you're looking at this console will be $450 in the US. Honestly, what I was guessing, well, what the rumors sound like for the price of this console was going to be $500. A lot of people believe it would probably be $400. So the fact they're right in the middle of it is pretty interesting, because I don't recall ever a console release like that. Well, I should really say that, because there probably been a console that launched like that. Like, usually we see like $399, $499, something like that. But the flat out $449, it's Nintendo. But it also will have a game bundle of the next Mario Kart game, which will be $500. I will get into that later. Next, we're going to talk about the specs. It's a larger screen compared to the Switch 1, which a lot of people assume it will be. It'll be 7.9 inches than the Switch 1. It will do 120 Hz, double the pixels compared to the first one, and it will have a vivid LCD screen with support of HDR. So already with those alone is definitely a more powerful hardware compared to the Switch 1. The Switch 2 will have 8 times the internal storage that predecessor had, with a 256 gig of storage. In my opinion, I still think that's a little bit small. That's still a little small, especially the amount of collection of games that a Switch user could have, and the size of the game that's going to be on these cartridges. Maybe Nintendo found a way to try to condense them as much as they can with the hardware of the Switch 2. I still say 256 is still small. It's definitely a big improvement compared to the Switch 1, but I think at least 5 something will probably been a safe spot. Like 1 terabyte is definitely pushing it, but I think like somewhere in the 500s of storage would have been nice. Alright. The Switch 2 has a built-in mic with noise cancelling technology. They said the Switch 2 device also has a built-in stand on the back of the device for the tabletop gameplay. We did saw the stand when they first showed off the console reveal. It will have 2 USB ports on the Nintendo Switch 2, one at the bottom and one at the top of the device for accessories and charging. When plugged into the dock, the Switch 2 will output up to 4K resolution on TV sets, which is pretty nice. Game cards for the Switch 2 are the exact same size as the game card for the Switch. However, the difference of the two, Nintendo has made the Switch 2 game cards red. Nintendo says Switch 2 game cards will have a faster reading speed as well. The Switch 2 will only be compatible with a micro SD express cards for additional storage. Regular micro SD cards are not compatible with the Switch 2. Mm, I'm kind of curious how much are those micro SD express cards if the original one doesn't work. To be honest, this this could be an issue. I bet some people probably wouldn't really care, but like the fact that if your game data is on this S1 as a micro SD card, but it's not compatible with the Switch 2. What would that look for games data that you put so much hours in a certain game? I think we could. I'm not gonna give like how I feel on that until I get like a proper confirmation. All this I'm reading from an article, so I don't know if Nintendo probably like gave a definitive answer on this scenario, but it is a very interesting thing. Users will be able to transfer data between the Switch and the Switch 2 via Nintendo System Transfer feature on their Nintendo website. Oh, okay. So that pretty much answered my question about somebody who has data on their Switch 1 trying to bring it to the Switch 2. Some physical and digital Switch games will be compatible with Switch 2, Nintendo says, which is pretty much uh, backwards compatibility. But they said some physical and digital games. I'm curious what game that they already have set up that be able to be working on the Switch 2 that you had on the Switch 1. Alright. This one was a very interesting thing I saw when I first heard about this info. They reveal what is the C button on the Nintendo Joy-Con, which is Game Chat. Game Chat is finally coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 that you'll be able to communicate with friends and family. I have a lot to talk about when it comes to this Game Chat because when more information came out about it, it is. I'll just say that for later. And you'll be also do a screen share with your friends and family. And you will also get an accessory, which is the Switch 2 camera, which is pretty cool. Of course, you got the Joy-Cons 2 and the Pro controllers. The Joy-Con 2 is definitely bigger than the original Joy-Con from the Switch 1. Don't know if I believe they said you could use the Switch 1 controller on the Switch 2. I think if you use the Switch 2, you just won't be able to use the Game Chat function. I digress. They also announced a Nintendo Game Share. Nintendo Game Share introduced a brand new feature called Game Share will allow users to play the same game together locally on multiple Switch devices. Game Share compatible games can be shared with up to 3 other systems on the same local network without each player requiring their own copy of the game, which is pretty cool. Now we're going to talk about the games that was revealed at the Direct. The first one they showed off was Mario Kart World, which is a brand new Mario Kart game. This was already revealed at when they first revealed the console, which a lot of people was very excited about because now we got a more number of characters. And you'll be able to have 24 players. I believe during the week they also had the trios that some people who was at the Switch 2 event got to get hands-on play with some of the new games like the Mario Kart, Metroid, and some other games. The roster looked pretty big. A lot of people believe there will be 84 racer characters you could pick, which is pretty cool. Other Nintendo Switch 2 titles is Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment featuring Princess Zelda, a sequel to Kirby Air Ride called Kirby Air Riders, a Rocket League-esque basketball game called Drag and Drive, and a new Donkey Kong game called Donkey Kong Bonanza, which is all coming to the Switch 2. They had a couple of third-party games like a new 007 that's coming, Elden Ring Tarnished Edition. Yes, Elden Ring from Software is coming to the Switch 2. Hades 2, Street Fighter, Daemon X Machina, Split Fiction, EA Sports FC, EA Sports Madden, Hogwarts Legacy, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 plus 4, Hitman World Assassination, Bravely Default Flying Fairy, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, Deltarune, Borderlands 4, Civilization 7, Civilization 7, WWE 2K, NBA 2K, Survival Kids, Enter the Gungeon, Final Fantasy 7 Remake. This one was definitely funny and it's a surprise to me because the fact that Final Fantasy 7 Remake is got announced coming to the Switch 2 before it was announced it was coming to Xbox, which is pretty funny. Kinutsugami Path of the Goddess, Hollow Knight Silk Song. A lot of people have been waiting for this game for the longest, but they did say it is coming out sometime this year, so no definitive date yet. Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, Goodnight Universe, 2 Point Museum, Wild Hearts S, Witchbrook, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S, Rune Factory Guardians of Zuma, Marvel Comics Invasion, Star Wars Outlaws, Nobunaga Ambition Awakened Complete Edition, Fast Fusion, Shadows Labyrinth, Raido Remastered The Mystery of the Soulless Army, No Sleep for Commandant Date from AI The Sullen Files, Reanimal, Fortnite, Arcade Archives 2 Ridge Racer, Professor Layton and the New World Steam, Tamagotchi Plaza, Humans Fall Flat 2, and The Duskbloods. The Duskbloods is a new IP from Software, the guys who made Elden Ring, and it's a new PvPvE Souls game that goes up to 8 players. A lot of people were saying that while From Software made a Bloodborne successor and they made it exclusive for the Switch, but when information came out that it was a PvPvE type of game, basically how Elden Ring Night Rain is, a lot of people lost the hype for it, but I believe some people still gonna try it out. I'm not so sure if people on the Switch will pick the game up, because usually when it comes to solo games, that's like PC and some people say probably PlayStation more than the Xbox players will play the Souls game, but it definitely will be on the PC side of things. So it will be interesting how many people on the Switch 2 will give this game a try. We just gotta wait and see. But anyway, those were all the games that was shown off at the Switch 2 event. They had a couple of first parties and a lot of third party support, which the first Switch 1 game was definitely lacking. But a lot of people was very excited when the Direct started from start to finish. But it wasn't until after the Switch 2 event that people really lost a little bit of respect when it comes to the Switch. And here's why. The first thing is the game chat. It's basically an open beta to try out the game chat. But after that, you have to pay to use game chat, which is wild. Yes, it does say you'll be able to use it for free up until March 26th of next year. But if you, but after that, you need to be a Nintendo Online subscriber to use Game Chat, which is wild. And some people are saying like, oh, it's only like what, $20 for a year. Yeah, it's the Nintendo Switch online subscription is cheap. Nobody is not disagreeing with that, but it's the fact that you have to pay to use a game chat to speak with people. That is wild. That is beyond wild. And even during the conference, when they were doing the whole chat thing and screen sharing, you could definitely see like the frame of the game chat was hella low when they was sharing the screen. It was bonkers. Like, look at that. And a lot of people cried on the Switch like, wow, welcome to 2025 Switch, because you're now getting a feature that had been the standard for a while. But I'm not even worried about that. I'm just more confused about the fact they're making you pay for this. It is beyond me why. And another issue that people definitely had a problem with is that this comes from Genki. Genki JPS said in Japan, the Switch 2 will have two different versions. Japanese language only version is $334, and a multi-language system in Japan is $467. I'm like, wait, so if I want a Switch 2 that speaks more language than just Japanese in Japan, I have to pay more than what the original thing costs in America. I'm so confused about that. Like, what is that? The fact you have to pay more. Like, why? And I don't know if some people is gonna buy it or not, but it's kind of funny that the Japanese version of the Switch 2 is cheaper than the American one. And I bet as soon as a lot of people saw that, oh, the Switch 2 in Japan costs $334, I'll just get it from Japan. Well, that's not gonna work, because apparently it's region locked. So only Japanese accounts in Japan will be able to get the Nintendo Switch 2 in Japan. So if you're in America or in a different country thinking that you could order the Nintendo Switch 2 from Japan, you're not gonna get it. You're stuck with the $450 for the console alone, or the $500 with the Mario Kart bundle, which I have a feeling some people are gonna go for the $500 one. And another thing that is very interesting to me, they announced that they have a payable upgrade pass for the original Switch 1 games to be played on the Switch 2. With the upgrade pack, I think the prices varies depending on the game. Because the example is for Breath of the Wild, it costs $70 without the... If you don't have Breath of the Wild, it would cost you $70 to get the Switch 2 version. But if you already have the game and you're doing the upgrade path, it looks like you're paying $20. Because when Breath of the Wild came out $60, and now it's gonna be $70. Yeah. Alright. And Tears of the Kingdom is gonna be, well, technically when it first got revealed, it was $60, then halfway getting close to before Tears of the Kingdom came out, Nintendo changed the price of it to $70. So Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom will be a $10 upgrade but you don't have the game, you're spending $80, I believe I saw. Let me do a quick check in my notes just to make sure I'm seeing it right. Where is it? I know I saved it. Alright, yeah. Alright, here it is. Apparently on their site, you try to get the Switch 2 version of Tears of the Kingdom. It will be $80 if you never had the game. $70 for Breath of the Wild. Mario Kart Jamboree, $80. Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be $70. Kirby is going to be $80. Which goes into my next discussion on Nintendo pricing other games. This comes from Jeff Keighley. Mario Kart World retail price is $80. That is, I'm telling you, when everybody saw this, they went crazy because it does not make any sense. This sets a bad precedence to the gaming community. Because right now, shoot, when the whole $70 thing started, everybody went crazy for it. And since people now say that Sony is the market leader, and when they made their game $70, even though other publishers did it first, like EA and the rest of them did it, and Sony just followed after, everybody blames Sony for the $70. But eventually people got used to the whole $70. Some people still didn't like it, but now people got used to it. They were picking what game do they believe deserve that $70. Even right now, even some games are not $70. Like, for example, Expedition 33, that's like, I believe it's like $50. Lost Aside that's coming out, I believe that's $60. So not every game is $70. Majority games are, but not all of them. But now it's the fact that Nintendo coming out the gate announcing Mario Kart is going to be $80. This is going to put in the minds of different publishers and others going to be looking at that. They're going to see how the market take Nintendo's $80 price. And let's be honest, Nintendo fans, they are like the purest fans to a fault, because Nintendo will put out anything and majority of them will buy it, because we're not going to forget the whole thing when Nintendo put out freaking cardboard and people bought it. We're not going to forget that. So if this Mario Kart game start going crazy being bought for $80, oh my god, you already know Rockstar is going to be looking at that for GTA 6. They'll be like, oh, it looks like they're okay paying $80 for a game. So we could put GTA 6 at this price and they will buy it. If Nintendo didn't do this and Rockstar would come out for its first, I believe people would still bought GTA 6, because literally, if not for console developers and it was only publishers that put up a game price like this, Rockstar will be like the only one that will get away with it just because it's GTA 6. But let's be honest, now it's Nintendo. I always say like Nintendo are like the only ones that could get away with stuff. I always said that. And some people, and I'm not the only one that think that. Like, there are some situations that Nintendo could do something, and majority of the time they will probably get away with it. Like, there won't be any pushback for it. Like, I didn't really see that much people complain when Tears of the Kingdom price went from 60 to 70 just randomly with no explanation. I literally only saw people say like, "Oh, at least I pre-ordered it when it was still 60, so I'm good." I'm like if PlayStation if PlayStation or Xbox is something like that, oh my god, it would just be chaos on social media if any of those two did it. But the fact that there wasn't really any pushback from Nintendo, I believe this was the test. Like honestly, this was the test for them. Cause like when they did the whole thing with Tears of the Kingdom going from 60 to 70, they were testing to see if people would have been okay with that. And since nobody didn't really complain for it, they said it was okay. But it just makes everybody worry now what the future gonna hold because of this price point. Because not it looks like not all other games could be $80. I think it depends on the game by the looks of it. Because, like I said, the Donkey Kong game is 70, Mario Kart is 80. So I guess like big games that they know that's gonna be selling, it looks like they're gonna set those games to be the high price points. But still bad either way. I am not feeling it. And the funny thing is, they showed off at the event was this like a like a like a basically like a tech demo for the Switch 2. Basically, what PlayStation did with Astral Playroom, where you play as Astral, you go through the different systems in the console and the controller. It's like a game, but it's telling you, oh, this what this part of the PlayStation 5 do, like the SSD or the basically something like that. Nintendo show off that is called Welcome Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which it gives you like a breakdown on the system and the new Joy-Con and stuff, right? Everybody like, alright, cool. They added basically a tech demo manual for the Switch 2. But the thing that rubbed people the wrong way, Nintendo is charging you to buy it if you want it, which is literally a tech demo manual, which confused a lot of people because PlayStation gave us Actual Playroom for free. It was a packing game for people who first got their PS5. If you want to learn the bells and whistles of what the PS5 is capable of and what it's going to do, instead of you trying to find research for online, here's a little tech demo. You play as a robot. You go through this different parts of the PS5. Basically, just make it entertaining for you. So the fact that Nintendo is charging a packing game, which I saw it was, $6. Yeah, it was $6. A lot of people was like, "Yo, you might as well should have just made this into a packing game. You might as well just made it free. Why you're charging $6 for this?" Which a lot of people are probably not even gonna get, but it just really off-putting because like it's crazy. And going back to the whole price thing for the games, like people are looking at it like when it comes to like Xbox and PlayStation, the development cost for their games is pretty high. Like everybody always say like the price for Spider-Man 2 was around like Sony spent like $200 million to make that game, which yeah, it was a pretty big game. But when it comes to Nintendo games, their costs to build their games are nowhere near that. And that makes a lot of people happy because Nintendo managing their money by not doing anything crazy, and they still put out a quality product. But the fact now they're raising the price of their games to 70 to 80 in some scenarios is like, why? I think it's just the people asking like why they're doing this. Like, and people put out a theory like, is it because of the whole tariffs thing, which could possibly be a thing, but the thing is, tariffs don't really affect digital bought products. So, playing a Switch game digitally would not be affected by the tariffs. So, it just it's just a weird scenario that Nintendo put themselves in, and I don't know. I did saw something about the apparently the Nintendo Switch 2 game keycard overview. This comes from Wario64. It said the game keycards are different from regular game cards because they don't contain the full game data. Instead, the game keycard is your key to download the full game to your system via the internet. I saw so many conflicted statements when it came to this because somebody actually called a Nintendo support in the UK and they told them one thing, but when you look at the actual game boxes, it say a whole other thing. So the whole wording on how, because when you read it, when you hear it, it kind of sounds like what Microsoft is doing right now. Like you buy a physical game disc, but the game is not on the disc. It just something that's, it basically gives you the license or the key for you to download the game to your system. Like the game is not on the disc itself. It kind of sounds like that is what's going on with the Switch 2, but I cannot definitively say for sure what is going on. The whole messaging when it comes to the whole Switch 2, like Nintendo needs to fix this because everybody is trying to play detective of what's going on, and neither of them don't even sound right. One side is saying one thing, and you got this other side saying another. Like Nintendo needs to come out and say definitively what's going on with these stuff, because if somebody call a tech support from Nintendo UK and they say, "Oh, this is actually what it is," so it's like what's going on? It doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. They put out a list of games that's gonna be Nintendo Switch 2 compatible, but they did say Nintendo Switch games that start up on Switch 2 but include some in-game capability issues. So there's like a list of games. I believe it's like 120, I believe. But Nintendo is working on them to get them fixed. So yeah, it's just kind of funny. People was going crazy when the PS5 literally only had like 5 games out of the number of games that they announced that will be running from PS4 to PS5, and 5 games was given issue. But I digress. I started to notice only a certain group will complain about one thing, but when the other group does the exact same thing, it's makes a hypocritical stance, in my opinion. I'm not gonna say which group I'm talking about, but they know who they are. Like, to be honest, all sides does it. All side does it and stuff. That's why I don't get in on the whole anti-consumer thing, because it may feel like you look at a different studio and say, "Oh, they're being anti-consumer," but when it comes to your preferred platform, you don't speak out on their anti-consumer stuff. It's only anti-consumer when it go against you. how I notice when it comes to certain stuff. So I tend to stay out of those conversations and stuff. Because in the end, to me, it doesn't make sense. Like, all these studios could be anti-consumer. It's just only a problem when it affects you, honestly. So I always stay out of those conversations. People was basically shitting on the Switch 2 UI because it literally looks the exactly same of the Switch 1 with no changes. So a lot of people were upset about that. But maybe Nintendo could add something later down the line, maybe themes and stuff. Like the Switch 2 ain't coming out till June 5th, so we just gotta wait and see. But yeah, but that's not the worst. After all of that, the info for the Switch 2 just started getting worse. Because even though the game prices for the 80, can you imagine what Canada is? Like, shoot, it's gonna be 90 for them. So keep that in mind if you're not in the US, because it's gonna be more pricey for you. Also on the Switch 2 website, they talk about the prices of their accessories. So a Switch 2 Pro controller is going to be $80. A Joy-Con going to be $90, which I guess it makes sense because technically you get two controllers, but I would expect a Joy-Con, not a Joy-Con, a Pro controller to cost more. But anyway, we have the camera is going to be $50. The dock set is going to be $110. Is like, wow. Like, imagine you break your Switch 2 dock and you have to buy another one. But on the plus side, at least GameStop put out their trade-in offers for the Switch 2. You can, for a Switch Lite, you get $100. For a Switch version 1 or 2, you get $125, and a Switch OLED, you get $175, which is not bad, but I'm not really gonna speak on that. Like, it is a very good price. At least you're getting like a decent amount off if you trade in a Switch OLED, and you don't have to worry about the prices of the accessories because Nintendo did say all the accessories that you have for the Switch 1 is able to be worked on the Switch 2. So it just, like, I believe, like, probably use the Joy-Con of the Switch 2, which I already spoke about, that you won't get access to the game chat, which I think that's the only setback using the old accessories. But that's not the worst thing that came out. It was yesterday that technically April 5th when the tariffs go into effect, but yesterday it was announced the percentages of different countries of what the tariffs is going to be. So Vietnam, Japan, and China percentage came out. A lot of other countries, but everybody was looking at China, Japan, and Vietnam. And Nintendo decided to delay the pre-order for the Switch 2 in the US alone as of right now to a different date. They did not give an update when that date is. But this comes from Nintendo. They said pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2 in the US will not start on April 9th of 2025. In order to assess the potential impact of tariffs and evolving market conditions, Nintendo will update timing at a later date. The launch date of June 5th, 2025 is still unchanged. GameStop will continue to work closely with Nintendo and provide updates as soon as more information becomes available. Stay tuned for further details. So, the Nintendo Switch 2 in America, you will not be able to pre-order it on April 9th until they set a due date because of the tariffs. The reason why for this could potentially, instead of $450 for the Nintendo Switch 2 in America, potentially this could cost even more. So they have to look out for that. And this does make some people look crazy because of this. Because when the 450 was announced, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, the Switch 2 is 450 because it's the tariffs," which is not the case in this scenario. Nintendo made the Switch 2 become 450 just to find a calculation where the tariffs would be. But now it's potential that the Switch 2 could cost even more than 450. I saw some people throwing out numbers that the Switch 2 could be 550 or 500, and the bundle could be 550 to 600 and stuff. It all depends, because this Nintendo announced that they switched their console development from China to Vietnam, thinking that Vietnam wouldn't really get hit by the tariffs. But it turns out Vietnam did get hit by the tariffs. So Nintendo needs to figure out what they're going to do because of the whole tariffs thing. So this definitely is not a good look for Nintendo, because everybody was super excited of this direct, but all this new information, all this information coming out, granted some information is misinformation, some of them, but the overall stuff and this whole thing with the whole terrorist thing made this whole situation even worse than it need to be. Like, people were even going so far that the Switch 2 is like going through another Wii U scenario, and I wouldn't go that far. Like, I don't truly believe that's the case, but this whole situation does not make it a good look for Nintendo and stuff. And honestly, it's not really because of them and stuff. Like, yeah, you could question their pricing for their games and stuff, but this whole thing with the tariffs really did set them back. And right now they need to figure out what they do. And they need to come out and fix all this misinformation that's going around. Because people making videos such as people making videos, talking about it, podcasts, this, that, and the third. Like, bad information is already coming out for the Switch 2, and the system not even out yet. But more people are upset for this whole $80 thing. And I don't want to listen to those people that say like, "Oh, back in the day, we were paying such and such for these Switch games, for these SNES games, like back in the day, like in the early 90s and stuff." But the thing is, those times were different. People, housing was more easy to be purchased, and so game consoles did not cost that much. We're in a whole different era. So you cannot keep using that argument like, "Oh, we was paying $97 before, so why is there a problem now?" Because life was easier back then. This is a different time. So this whole preset of Nintendo charging $80 for some of their games is not good. It's not a good look. And it makes it even worse that even though there's some of their fans speaking out against this, that's a very small number compared to the overall of the Nintendo fan base, and they are going to buy it. This thing is going to be sold out, and just goes to show, oh, we're okay paying $80. That's the whole thing people are mostly upset about. It just, this gonna make it okay to charge $80 for games, and nobody do not want it to go that far. Like, it took us a long time to get through the whole $70 situation. Can you imagine 80 now? It is bonkers, absolute bonkers that Nintendo is doing this, because they have no reason to do this. Like, their IPs are the most highest sold IPs out there. They have no reason to do it. They got the money. They got the they got the dedicated fans. They don't have to do this. And it just look like Nintendo just being greedy that they are doing this. And I tend to agree. Because these publishers are not our friends. They want our business. They want our money. And Nintendo doing this because they know they're going to get away with it. They got the fan base. They know their fans is going to buy their product no matter what. I saw online, people say, oh, this is a crazy amount of money. But people are like, I'm still going to be there day one. So it's like, we're going to go through another recession of game prices. And the whole people that was complaining about what PlayStation did it, I don't want to hear that anymore if you're okay with this. We're going to stop that right there. If you was complaining with PlayStation did it, but just because the games that Nintendo is putting out, you be okay with $80, I don't want to hear nothing when the PS6 comes out and they start dropping their games at $75 to $80, 85 and stuff. I don't want to hear you anymore. I don't want to hear you. Okay, if you're okay with this, you better be okay with that. And I don't care if you're not even a PlayStation gamer. You have no reason to complain about it anymore if you're not complaining about this. Like, even PlayStation gamers would complain about the whole $70. So they're not following PlayStation blindly. Same thing with Nintendo. It's just a small minority are complaining. It's just the overall their voices is too small. The only people that could truly speak out against a publisher and stuff are PC gamers. And the thing is, PC gamers don't really care because they're not going to get hurt, because they pick and choose what games they want to play, and they always find a way to get a game cheaper, so they're not paying for the full price. So, that was a whole lot of ranting I did. And that's what I feel about the Switch 2 situation. I'm not making this video for you guys to go against Nintendo. If you want to get Switch 2, go ahead and get it. I'm not pocket watching anybody. I'm choosing to vote with my wallet, and I'm not getting a Switch 2. I'll put that money into something else. So, with that being said, what do you guys think? Are you going to buy the Switch 2 day one on launch? Or are you going to wait? How you feel about the whole $80 for the high premium Switch games and some $70 titles? Let me know in the comment below. I'll catch you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoy the rest of your week, and peace out.